Hi. If you're familiar with the Aeneid, you already know what I'm going to talk about, but in case you're not, I'll give you some context. The Aeneid was written by Virgil somewhere between 29 and 19 BC. It's a Latin epic poem commissioned by Emperor Augustus. The Romans were quite jealous of the Greek already having two whole pieces of literature describing their history, namely the Iliad and the Odyssey. So, the emperor requested a story linking the Romans to the goddess Venus. Here's a quick summary of the 12 books. The books don't start off at the beginning of the story. It begins with our protagonist Aeneas being shipwrecked near the coast of Africa. There he finds the city of Carthago, ruled by Queen Dido. They slowly start falling in love, and he tells her everything about his journey up until that point. So he tells her about him, his father, and his son fleeing Troy after the Trojan War. He is sent on a mission by the gods. They tell him that he has to found a city for a great new nation, which later on becomes the Roman Empire. They tell him he's destined to do so because his mother is the goddess Venus. So they flee from Troy with the whole crew, but they kind of get lost at sea, and that's where they encounter Dido. After some time, Aeneas leaves Dido, which makes her very, very sad, and she commits suicide. And after that, a whole lot of other stuff happens, but I'm not going to focus on that for now. We're just going to focus on this part of the story and how the goddess Juno plays a part in this. Juno is the wife of the Roman supreme god Jupiter, and she absolutely hates Trojans. So she's trying to do anything she can to stop Aeneas from fulfilling his destiny and founding a new city. And that's what this video is about. Virgil gives 4 main reasons justifying Juno's hate for Trojans. And while some may find her irrational, I fully agree with her. So, let's review. Reason number 1. The Trojans were all descendants from one affair of Jupiter. Juno had already forgiven her husband for a lot of mistakes, but having an entire population remind you of his infidelity, that's just reason number 2. You've probably heard of the story of Paris and the golden apple, him having to give it to the most beautiful out of 3 goddesses, Juno, Venus, and Minerva. Minerva promised him wisdom in return, Venus promised him the most beautiful woman on earth as his lover, and our total icon Juno promised him all the riches in the world and rulership of the entirety of Asia. And who does this idiot of a Paris choose? Venus. So she makes a married woman fall in love with him. Hence, the Trojan War. And Paris isn't just some random guy, he is the Trojan prince. Another huge blow for Juno, obviously. Reason number 3. As we know, her husband Jupiter liked to fool around a bit, so naturally he has to abduct Ganymede, who is described to be the most beautiful of mortals. And once again, a Trojan. And because he loves his boy toy so much, he bestows the privilege of letting him pour wine on the Olympus for him and the other gods. Keep in mind, this is a huge privilege, especially for a mortal. So for Juno to see a Trojan, the type of people she already hates, and someone who her husband is cheating on her with, do I even have to say anything else? Reason number 4. So as I've mentioned, the Romans were descendants of Aeneas. And you're probably familiar with the Punic Wars between Carthago and Rome. You know, the ones with Hannibal and his elephants? Yeah, those ones. So eventually the Romans destroy Carthago. Well, it just so happens to be that Juno's favorite city is no less than Carthago. So this poor woman, this poor goddess, this poor queen, has already had her pride and her dignity taken away by these filthy-ass Trojans. And eventually, if Aeneas fulfills his destiny, they're gonna destroy her favorite city. By now, it's honestly a matter of principle. She can't let this happen. This is disgusting. They've pushed her and pushed her and pushed her, and she has done nothing. So can we blame her for being mad? Trying to stop Aeneas isn't that much of a radical thing to me. But if you have a different opinion, feel free to let me know. So yeah, that concludes my rant. I fully support Juno. She's a bit eccentric in other tales, given the fact that she blames a lot of people for her husband's infidelity. But in this case, I do really understand her hate for Trojans. And honestly, Aeneas is a bit of a prick, so can't blame her for trying to stop him. Until next time, bye!